like to welcome you to the Friday main event, Class 2A Region Preview Show. I am Mike Molder, and he is Lee Teat. Lee, we got the 1A classifications done. We're moving on to Class 2A, and as we like to do with these region preview shows, we'll kind of recap last season, get everybody kind of familiar with how last year played out, and, at least they'll have a kind of a better understanding of what to expect this year based on how teams did last year.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, a lot like Class 1A last year, 2A went pretty much as we expected with the Peabody and Meigs was our number 1 and number 2 teams in the preseason.
Yeah, Lee, and you're talking about Meigs, Coach Fitzgerald's team. They didn't really have any problem in the playoffs. They run through Happy Valley, run through South Green, beat a really good Oneida team before that big anticipated rematch, that 2018
Correct.
Semifinal with Meigs and Trousdale County. Well, they were able to come out victorious this past year, 22-20. They won that game and made their third title game appearance.
Yep, and then you go out west, and you got the perennial power Peabody. I didn't have any issues with them. HS McKenzie in the first 2 rounds took a botch snap. though, to beat Fairleigh, 29-28. Close ball game right there. And then, of course, it went on into the semifinals and beat Riverside 45-14 to advance in their 4th title game. And, heck, how many times they've been there in the last few years?
Well,
Several.
A lot, so I think it's 4 total, but, yeah, I believe they've been there 3 years in the last, 5 or 6 years.
I think that's right.
Yeah, back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lee, and that kind of brought on that much-anticipated matchup with Swofford, the Valley quarterback for Meigs, getting in his first title game his senior year. Meigs actually led that game behind Swofford by, I think, a touchdown there at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Jacobs and his bunch went in at halftime, made some really good halftime adjustments, wound up winning that game 27-13. I think that gave Peabody, like you said, their 3rd title in 6 years, I believe it was. And then I think Walter Dickerson, the running back for Peabody, was named the MVP. But a really good title game, man. Despite, it's kind of like that 1A game, it was a lot closer than what the score indicated.
It was. And kind of, you could see ebb and flow in the game.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with both squads and both quarterbacks, classy acts,
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was Cooper Bogus being on
Yes,
the winning side of that, and he had a really good career there at Peabody.
He did.
Be interesting to see how they do this coming year. We're going to get into that now, Lee. We'll talk about the 2020 season,
right.
And as always, we'll start up at the top with Region 1 and Region 1.
Yep, got 5 teams and 1 new coach.
Yeah, 5 teams. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place for a minute
good.
because I was going to mention the fact there's only 48 teams. I lost that in my notes. 48 teams in Class 2A. Only 7 new coaches. We talked about that in Class 1A.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I think because of this COVID-19 stuff, there wasn't near as much coaching turnover as you normally see in the lower classes.
Well, and especially in times like that, you want to kind of stay familiar. You don't need there's already enough change going on, so yeah. I understand that completely.
Absolutely. And oddly enough, man, there's only 21 teams on this east side of the bracket, whereas there's 27 teams on the west side of the bracket. So I think a lot of that's got to do with that huge Region 8 over in Memphis. Got 9 teams in that region. That's kind of gotten a little imbalance in this classification, probably more so than other ones.
Right.
But if you look at Region 1, Lee, Hampton, the Bulldogs, Mike Lunsford's team, 9-3 last year. They did win the region, 3-1 in region play. They got knocked out by Oneida, I think, in the 2nd round. Lee 14-12, very close game, but lost a lot of seniors out of that class.
They did. Margin of victory too was something interesting with Hampton. Beat everybody by 28 points or better, and then lost to Happy Valley.
Yeah,
that was just kind of an interesting little side note, but
yeah.
I think Hampton's going to be fine. I do. I know they lost a lot of seniors, but I think they're going to be fine.
Well, they'll have Connor Jones at quarterback, Caleb McKinney, big senior tight end, Lee, Michael Harrison, the kicker, a really good kicker. He returns. And I think I agree with you. I think Coach Lunsford and his squad should be good this year.
I think
so. they would be the odds-on favorite right now looking at that region. South Green had a really good year last year, Lee. under new leadership this year. Was that any surprise there?
Well, no, not really. I don't think so. I think Sean Jones knows what he's doing. He was offensive coordinator also and head coach of the Rebels before from 2005 to 2015, so he's familiar, and I don't see really any let up.
Yeah, Scott Rand steps aside. Sean Jones moves back into that head coaching job, as you've mentioned. They've got Luke Myers back, free safety, Trevor Hester, defensive end, Dakota Seaton, tight end. A lot of good leadership back for this South Green team, Lee.
That's right. I think they'll be looking to avenge a shutout too from Hampton. Hampton shut them out last year for the region loss, so I think they'll be looking to get a little revenge.
Yeah, I would agree, Lee. Looking on down in that quad, or excuse me, in that region, Sullivan North finished third. That's Preston Patrick. He's 10-12 in 2 years there. Isaiah Pruitt, DB, senior's back. Ethan Norris, Landon Roberts is back. What's your thoughts on the Raiders?
Mike, well, what we, preface this by the governor lifting his orders today, and they can get back to contact. So it looks like maybe we're going to have a complete season. So that's going to mean your 1, 2, 3, and 4 spots in each region now are back into play.
Back into play.
I like Sullivan North. I think they may slide in.
You think so?
I do. I think they may slide in to the playoffs.
Well, the next team down, Lee, is Happy Valley, and they're kind of intriguing. I think, like you mentioned, they did beat Hampton 14-8 last year, but they lost to Sullivan North. They lost to South Green by double digits. They didn't lose a game at home all year.
That's right.
I think they began the year 6-1. So I'm kind of interested to see what Coach Jarrett's squad does this year. They could potentially move up, I think, out of that 4th spot.
Yeah, they got a pretty good little running back up there too, Matthew Bond, and then they got Gabe Nichols, the cornerback junior coming back, and then Peyton Primzile, who's the center. There's a junior. I think those will be kind of your leaders going in.
And then rounding out that region, Cosby Lee, 3-7, 0-4 in region play. Kevin Hall is he's got 9 years in there. I think he's 26 and 65 over that 9-year period. Hunter Workman is back at quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. I don't think there's any room for them to move up in this region. What do you think?
I can't see them sliding in right now. The interesting matchup to me is going to be that Happy Valley South Green.
Yeah.
That'll be your 2 and 3, I think.
Right. I think you're right, Lee. So you think probably Sullivan North maybe drops down to 4th.
I do.
Then you see a battle for second there between Happy Valley and South Green.
That's what I do.
I agree with you, Mr. Teat. Let's move on to Region 2, my friend. Anybody watched the 1A program last night know we kind of lingered a little bit on some of these regions. So we're going to try to keep a little bit better pace tonight, Lee. I usually try to keep these shows within an hour because I figure that's about as long as anybody can tolerate me and you anyway. So we'll try to do a little bit better tonight. But looking at Region 2, you got Coach Fitzgerald, a good friend of ours, Lee.
Yes.
His Meigs County Tigers, of course, led by Aaron Swafford, as we mentioned, had a big year last year, 13-2, wound up losing in that title game to Peabody, but I think the Tigers are going to be pretty stout again this year.
I do, too. They got Malachi Hayden back, preseason All-Stater on offensive line. Logan Carroll, looks like maybe he might be getting the nod at the quarterback spot coming in as a junior. And we talk about this all the time, man, but when you play 15 games, and they've been deep into the playoffs the last 3 or 4 years with Mr. Swafford running the show,
right.
Those kids are so experienced now. And I think they're going to be right back on track.
Now, Tony Lambert's Oneida team had a really good season last year, Lee, 8-5. They only beat Rockwood by 5. So that may wind up being a challenge between those two teams this year. I think they played each other tight last year. They lost to Greenback, Upperman, and also Coalfield in non-region games. So they had a pretty tough schedule, obviously.
Yeah.
Same schedule this year, Lee. So, I don't. What's your expectations for this Indians team?
I think they're going to be fine in the region.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine region play wise. but his out of region schedule is pretty tough. Got Oliver Springs, York, Upperman, then Coalfield. I mean, that's a pretty good schedule,
Yeah, and they've got some size up front,
Yeah,
led
they
by
do.
C.J. King. I think he's listed 6'5", 346. So they got as Roy Dillard likes to say, they got somebody that can knock some holes in that line. So
Yeah,
they may contend with Meigs this year. We don't really know how Meigs is going to do without a lot of senior leadership that graduated. So they may be in contention. But I like this Rockwood team. John Webb, 157 and 116 in his 24 years at Rockwood. So the guy's got a lot of history here with this program. A lot of
Yes.
wins, and they always seem to be competitive. I think this Tiger squad might be pretty good this year.
Well, I think, they took one on the chin in the first round of the playoffs last year to South Green.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, the last half of the season, they went 4-2.
Yeah.
In the last part of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like they started coming on. And Octavius Worthy, running back for them, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. I like them. I think those three teams will compete for this region title. I think Cumberland Gap probably pulls up that 4th spot again this year. They finished 4-7, 1-3 last year. Coach Klein is 41 and 45 overall, 19 and 24 in his 4 years at Cumberland Gap. They got shut out by Hampton, if you'll remember, in that first round, 50-0. I don't know that they fare any better. They're probably going to have the same first round opponent. I think that's probably, the results may be a little better, but I think they'll be the same.
I think so too, but I think now, more so than ever, like we talked about with this going back to playing football now, hopefully, they got a couple of teams out of Virginia on their schedule. We know Virginia's canceled.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's probably going to be scrambling, try to pick up a couple games.
Yeah.
Anybody up in that area needs a game or two, pick them up.
Well, maybe his schedule will work out with Hancock County. We talked about that in the last show. They've got 3 Virginia teams, so maybe a couple of those games line up for those guys, and they can match up. That'd probably be a good matchup anyway.
Right.
Hancock County finishing 2nd in that Region 1 last year, so the travel wouldn't be too bad. Maybe we ought to call up Coach Klein and suggest that, Greg.
Yeah, might do a home and away or
Yeah, I think so. That's a logical thing to do. But it's going to be interesting to see how these teams pick up all these out-of-state, especially the ones from Virginia. We still don't know what North Carolina and Kentucky's going to do.
That's right.
At least I haven't heard anything. They may already declare whether they're going to play or not, but I don't recall hearing anything about it. So it's going to get interesting, especially with these teams that border other states, and not so much as the mid-state area, but these teams up in the upper eastern part of the state, a lot of them rely on those out-of-state contests to round that schedule out.
Correct.
Wartburg Central Lee, the Bulldogs, Kevin Human, 4-6 last year, 0-4 in region play. Tyler Davis is back at quarterback. Ethan Stedham is running back. Nick Newport, big tight end. They got some kids back. Do you see any situation where maybe they move up? I think it was an 8-point game with them in Cumberland Gap last year.
Yeah.
So they were 8 points away from the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
I think they could potentially slide in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a battle there. All right, Lee. Well, that's regions 1 and 2. What we did last show, Lee, we would kind of put a shot up on the screen for the audience to see what our projections are for each region, and we'll do that again this show as well. So we'll take a break here and then show you our picks, and then we'll be right back after you watch this slide. All right, Lee, that was Region 1 and 2, and we're going to head right into Region 3 now. Region 3 has been dominated for quite some time by Tyner Academy, the Rams, Wayne Turner, the Beard. We love Coach Turner. We've had him on the show with us before, Lee. 4-0 in region play last year, 8-4 overall. I think they won region games by an average of 43 points. I think Bledsoe stayed within 18 points of them as the closest region game they had.
Yeah, I think so. I think this year, more so than any, I think Coach Turner's going to probably rely a little bit on the run. with Jeremiah Sawyer back there, senior running back. But he did lose quite a few players off that last year's team.
Yeah, Malik Hamrick is listed as an athlete, another good ball player, but you're right, had heavy senior graduation last year, and I don't know that they make it back to that third round matchup. Well, actually, I think they got knocked out by Trousdale in the second round last year, did they? So I don't know. I don't know how well they're going to match up against Region 4 this year. Region 4 is going to be pretty stout.
Yes.
Moving on down, Lee, Bledsoe County, the Warriors, Coach Tabor, 8-4 last year. They did reach the second round. Both I think these regions split, if I remember correctly. Yeah, split the first round games, Region 3 and 4. They were knocked out by Watertown, 35-21, which tells me they had a pretty good team because Watertown was very good, so they stayed respectable anyway. Keith, is that Harmon Keith? Have I got that listed the wrong way, or is that Keith?
Harmon Keith.
Harmon Keith. That sounds like his first name's last name's opposite what I would. I thought I might have listed it wrongly. He's a quarterback, 6'2", 175. Swafford is wide receiver. A lot of kids back off this Bledsoe County team that did make it into the second round. What's your thoughts on Bledsoe?
I like the fact they got a tailback named Cadillac. Cadillac Seaver.
That's a good football name, isn't it?
Yeah, that's and a tailback.
Yeah,
remember that Cadillac down at Auburn a few years back.
Yep, I do remember that.
One thing I do like about Bledsoe is they finished out their season strong last year, and they did get a first-round win. So,
and I was impressed with Coach Tabor Lee.
Yes.
He was in his first year there at Bledsoe, and I think he was the offensive coordinator down in Georgia. So he came in really in a situation he wasn't familiar with at all, and 8-4, a very respectable season for the Warriors. And I think they have a good year this year.
So,
moving down, Lee, and this is a team that I know a lot of people over in Jasper would like to see play much better. This is one of the worst teams that the Warriors of Marion County has had in a long time, Lee. A really tough year. Got a big name hire in Dale Pruitt. What's your thoughts on that situation there with Marion County?
Well, we'll know, sooner than later if this is a coaching issue or if this is something, where schools have ebbs and flows of talent.
Right.
Everybody knows Coach Pruitt can coach. For y'all that don't know, that's Jeremy Pruitt's father.
Exactly.
Head coach at University of Tennessee. That's his dad. Long-time head coach in Alabama, won a bunch of games.
Right.
So, Marion County went out and got a coach. Went after somebody, so we'll know more about it here pretty quick.
Yeah, they had a really tough year last year. I think they only won 2 games, Lee, on the field. I think they did get a forfeit win, but Polk County and Tellico Plains were the only 2 games they won last year on the field. Alex Nunez is back as linebacker senior. Brian Condra is a wide receiver senior also. Michael Showalter, big tackle back, junior year. And then they've got, I think, Tay Hutchins is expected to be the quarterback. And one thing I forgot to mention when we started these shows, Lee, we don't have we rely heavily on Donovan Stewart's time capsules for each class.
Sure.
He's only released 1A, so we're digging through Huddle video and just trying to get together as much information as we can about what teams have coming back. I don't fill out a survey for coaches to send me. So,
but we're not insiders in all these.
No,
programs.
we're not insiders. We don't do it full time. So we may not mention some kids on certain teams, and you're probably sitting there thinking, well, why in the world didn't you mention this 4-star kid we got out here? Well, we're like I say, we're going to Huddle accounts and trying to pull names of players that we know to be returning to teams. So we may miss some kids, but we're trying to mention, some of them and give you an idea what teams we've got. See, Donovan, you killed us, man. You should have had that stuff out already. Just kidding, buddy. But yeah, Lee, I think Marion County is going to be interesting to see how they do this year with the new head coach. Tellico Plains, the Bears, finished up 3-5. Is that correct? 3-5.
3-5.
That's what I'm showing. I don't know why they wouldn't have played any more games than that. Maybe I've got a typo there on that.
Wait a minute, is that 3-8?
It might be. Maybe I bet it is
3-8.
You getting old? You can't see either.
I got glasses on.
I do too.
There we go.
They've been blowing up a little bit.
3-8. Yeah, there we go.
Oh Lordy, we've got a screen in front of us. I guess you figured that out. So we're just going to have to put it at the old folks level where we can see it. But they got shut out by Trousdale County, Lee, and I'm sorry, that was Marion County.
Yeah.
They got shut. No, they did score, but they got beat by Watertown, 47-8 there in the first round. Major Carter back at wide receiver, junior. Hollinghead is a sophomore quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he played last year or not, Lee. Like I said, I don't have the returning starter list. But he was the only quarterback I found other than Reed Shaw. I don't know which one of those guys will get the nod, but they did graduate a lot of seniors last year.
Yes, they did.
So I don't know how that lineup's going to play out. But, I look for them probably to take that 4th spot again this year would be my guess. And then Polk County, 0-10 last year, 0-4 in region play. Eddie Lamb, Cole Green, Bo Frank, some of the returning starters on that team. Rusty Brewer, 0-10 his first year at Polk County. He was the former offensive coordinator there. I don't know that things get any better this year.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, I don't put a lot of stock in an 0-10 start as your first head coach because I'm comparing to some guys I know that went 0-10 that are
right.
Their first year. Now nobody will probably ever catch them in wins.
Right, exactly.
So maybe he'll get it on track, buddy.
I hope so. Let's move on to Region 4.
Tough region right here, brother. Tough region.
Watertown and Trousdale. Highlight this region. Watertown, of course, won this region last year. They played 2 games against Trousdale County, matter of fact, Lee, and I think they won the first one by 3, and then they lost the second game by 3. So those teams are very even on paper, and I think this year, Lee, and, of course, we had Coach Satterfield on with us in our spring show. I think they're going to be very evenly matched again this year.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, man. If you get a chance to go see Watertown play, you should go watch because they have 2 studs on the defensive side of the football. DBs, they're just defensively, they are so sound, and I think with Braden Casino back, 2,000 yards last year, 16 TDs. Watertown is in the hunt to make a title run. I think so.
No, Brandon Watts, athlete there.
Yes,
we worked with his dad.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
And we expect him to have a big year. Jordan Kaysen at running back. Jordan Carter, they listed him as an athlete. And then you got Materius Hughes Malone is also listed as an athlete.
Those guys are unbelievable athletes.
Really good ball players.
They're Division I players.
Yes, sir. So I think Watertown is going to be tough. However, Lee,
yes, sir.
We like Trousdale County to take this region this year, but I think it's going to be same as it's been the last 2 years. These 2 teams are going to battle it out. The Yellow Jackets 11-2 last year. They got knocked out by 2 points, as we mentioned in the start of the show, by Meigs County in that semifinal. But Cameron Rankin is back at running back. Mason Bassford is a big lineman, expected to kind of clear the way for him up front. You got Jaden Hicks, quarterback back. A lot of talent back.
They're always going to have talent in Trousdale County. But, they're always going to be solid. They're always going to have plenty of talent. Got a Satterfield on the sidelines. Like I said, I think Watertown and Trousdale, there's so much riding on that game.
Yeah.
Because that's potentially your title, 2 title contenders. I mean, I could easily see these guys playing for a state title this year.
Well, you remember Coach Satterfield said they could potentially begin the season 0-3, having Watertown there in week 3. They got Friendship week 1. I don't recall who they picked up somebody. Lee, help me out. Who did they pick up?
I'd have to look.
They picked up. They had an open date.
Yeah.
White House.
White House.
I think it was White House, wasn't it? So I mean, they could potentially. I don't see it happening. They could potentially begin the season 0-3 and still win a state title.
That's very possible, man. Because I mean, like I said, they're stacked.
Yeah, they are stacked. Good ball team. East Robertson, Lee, the Indians. Last year they finished 3rd place. A lot of talent on that East Robertson team. They got Taylor Groves, who's a preseason All-State. He's the number 5 rated junior in the entire state by 247 Sports. So him along with Big Cameron Smith there at defensive end they got some talent there at East Robertson.
They do, man. And Taylor Groves is the real deal. He's the real deal.
Is he kin to Carlos?
Probably.
Yeah.
Carlos was at East Robertson when I was in high school.
Yep.
They ran the tables on everybody in basketball.
His kid, you reckon?
I don't know. But he, I saw some videos on that kid, and, I mean, he is an absolute athlete.
Does this go back to what we talked about in 1A with the decline of Joe Burns? You think maybe East Robertson has gotten some kids out of that Joe Burns area?
It's possible. I'd like to know that because I know Robertson County rezoned, and I was wondering if that affected that.
Yeah, I'd say it probably did. Coach Pond, had a good year last year, 5-6, 3-2. As we stated, they were the third-place team. Westmoreland, Chad Perry, I was real high on him last year. They came out smoking hot his first year. Kind of fell back to the pack a little bit last year, 5-6. Were shut out by Tyner there in the first round. But he's got a lot of talent coming back.
Yeah, he does.
And I think this Eagle squad is going to be a contender for a 3 spot.
I think so.
I don't think they're there to play with Trousdale and Watertown, but I think they probably battle East Robertson for that 3rd spot.
Correct.
They've got Corden Kemp back at running back. Cameron Eden is a quarterback sophomore, and Riker Hodge is listed as a quarterback, also senior. I don't know who will be the starter there.
Right.
But I think Westmoreland's got a good squad. Cascade, Lee, that program which I'm, I was very familiar with. All my kids went to Cascade. They just they haven't been there, Lee, for a while. I don't know what the problem is. After 2 mid-season wins last year, I think they were outscored 148-7 in their final 4 games. They shut out the last 3 games. I don't know what needs to happen there at Cascade to get back to being competitive, but I really hate to see that program on the decline with the history I've got with it personally. So, what's your thoughts on that? Any?
Well, it takes athletes.
Yeah.
But 148-7 over the final 4 games, that's pretty rough, man.
You got to find some offense.
You got to
somewhere.
find some offense to stop somebody, too. Yeah. If anything, just hold the ball.
Yeah.
But, excuse me. They do have Seth Countess coming back, Jaden Burns, James Toney. And it looks like a good mix, of upperclassmen, lowerclassmen. So, I don't know. I don't think they can get into the playoffs. Do you?
Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, heck, they were sitting right there with I want to. That's the good thing about being in a 5-team regionally. It's always a possibility. You basically just got to beat one team, and they or excuse me, I guess that's actually I'm sorry, that's a 6-team region. But at any rate, I think late in the season they were still. Possibly a playoff team as late as week 7 or 8, even despite the fact of the bad record when they won those 2 games there mid-season. I think all they had to do, if I remember correctly, all they had to do was beat maybe Westmoreland. But what I'm getting at is it doesn't take a lot to make the playoffs when you're in a 6-team region. You just gotta
win a couple.
Got to win a couple more. Jackson County, Lee, Sean Loftus, really good coach, 51-55 overall, 17-25 in his 4 years back at Jackson County. If you remember when he left that program, it really declined a lot, and he built it back up. Now they did kind of have a fall back last year, but I like what Coach Loftus does, and I think they recover and get off the cellar this year in the region. What's your thoughts on that?
I think so too, but Jackson County is just the same as any of your smaller schools that are not traditional powerhouses. Yeah. They have ebbs and flows in talent.
Right.
You may have a real good freshman class coming in, and it may take 2 or 3 years to develop them, and that happens quite often in Jackson County, I think.
Yeah.
But Coach Loftus is a good coach. He knows what he's doing. It'll be interesting to see that region right there, man.
It's top heavy, isn't it?
Top heavy, buddy.
Heavy.
It's tough.
I don't see anybody getting past the two top teams, Trousdale.
And then you got good squads in Westmoreland and East Robertson.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you move? How do you move up?
There's really no place to move up, based on what we saw last year.
Correct.
Somebody could get hot and make a run. All right, Lee, we spent a little bit too much time on that region, so we're going to cut that off right there, the Region 3-4 talk. We're good with that.
Yes, sir.
To recap, we like Trousdale, followed by Watertown. We like Westmoreland, East Robertson to fight it out for that third spot. I'm probably leaning toward East Robertson a little bit. I think we listed Westmoreland as third, but I think that's going to be a battle there for third and fourth.
I think so.
So, Lee, we'll put the Region 3 and Region 4 projections up, and then we'll be back right after that slide shows. All right, Lee, that was Regions 3 and 4. We're going to jump right into Region 5, Lee. Region 5, pretty tough region last year. The Forest Rockets kind of dominated that region last year. I think they actually rolled into the quarterfinals undefeated.
They sure did.
And what's your thoughts on the Rockets this year?
Man, I think they're going to be competing for the region again. I think they're going to be right back there. They got Max Kirby coming in as a senior back as a senior quarterback, and then everybody remembers the McClendon kid that was the tailback. Well, guess what? They got another one at running back. He's young, Michael McClendon.
Yeah.
But I don't see any real let up in Forest this year. I think they'll be competing for one of the top spots in the Region 5.
Yeah, Coach Stevenson is doing a really good job over at Lee. I've been impressed with him. I agree with you. I think they held their opponents to an average of less than 10 points a game, so that defense was really stout. They beat Lewis County by 3, and they beat Summertown by 7. So they were susceptible to getting beat. You know, it wasn't like they were just totally destroying everybody, but that defense won out in a lot of close games.
It did.
If you remember, you and I went to see that Week 11 game against Lewis County, that game that they did, I think, won that game by 3. But Bobby Sharp, that was one of the highlights for me, Lee Teat, last year, was getting a chance to meet Bobby Sharp. But, man, he's won 262 football games, and he's just as good as gold. I really, really enjoyed getting a chance to talk with him.
Yes, sir. He's coached in 74 ball games.
That's a lot of football.
Been a head coach in 3.
I think he may be the longest tenured coach.
He probably is 32 years.
I believe that's right.
But what a fun interview. Passed on a lot of, I don't want to say old school knowledge, but it was.
Yeah.
You know, he just brought something different to the table. I enjoyed it as well, Mike. I thought that was an awesome interview and get to meet the man and talk to him.
Now, how many coaches do you think have come up through his tutelage? Kevin Creasy,
gosh, dude.
Nick Patterson, we talked about him. He's had so many coaches come up, through him and learn that wing tee. Nobody knows that wing tee offense better than Bobby Sharp.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I think they're going to be fine, Mike. I think they may be competing, for a 2 or a 3, but I kind of more seeing Lewis County this year maybe at the 3.
Okay. Well, they did, like you said, Lee, they did graduate a lot, but Ethan McCann is back at fullback. Runyon's offensive tackle. Carroll is a very talented DB. He's only a junior. And then Spartans another lineman. So they're pretty. And that was one thing you remember last year. They were huge up front.
Oh yeah, they're big.
They were big.
So
I think they're going to be battling it out. Eagleville, the other team, Floyd Walker's squad, and we love Coach Walker. He's always a hoot. Really enjoy it.
I would not want to be a referee though.
Not on
his sideline anyway.
He can get them, Kenny.
Oh yeah, boy, he get right at you.
Oh, he's a good dude, though. He told me he wanted me to play for him last year. I think he's trying to say I was fat, but I'm not sure.
Trying to get you to be a lineman.
Yeah. But he's a good guy, man. He's got a Marcus Collins back at quarterback, White McLemore at running back. Stingley is a defensive lineman, senior defensive lineman. Jack Harris running back. Got some talent coming back on this Eagles squad. 2 of their 4 losses last year, Lee, were to Forest. And I think they also lost to Mount Pleasant and obviously Lewis County.
Right.
But, I expect them to at least do as well as they did last year. Perhaps maybe move up to maybe the second spot, maybe a region title.
It's possible. It is very possible.
Moving on down, Lee, in this Region 5, we're looking at Summertown, and Coach Moat's team did really well last year. They actually beat Lewis County by 7 points, lost to Forest and Eagleville, I think, by 7 and 6 respectively. So they were right there knocking on the door all year.
Right in the hunt.
6-5 last year. They did lose to Waverly in the first round, 39 to 22. Some talent back on that team, Lee.
They do. Avery Johnson's the back, Blake Bailey, Colton Schaefer, junior quarterback, Javen Edmonston, Anakin Johnson. We heard a lot about him a little bit last year.
Yep.
And then J.D. Chun up front. Summertown's got players.
They got players.
They got players, and this. You know what, Mike? This region to me, I don't know that there's a clear-cut odds-on 1, 2, 3, or 4.
It's kind of like Region 5 and 1A, isn't it? They're pretty close.
Yeah, because you look and you say, well, that team beat this team, that team beat that team, and it was always kind of mixed. You didn't really see a clear on. They're just going to dominate.
And then Loretto Lee got new head coach Barry Daniels. He was the defensive coordinator at Brooks, Alabama, the last 10 years. He comes in, takes over for Neil Cruz. The Mustangs, I think, they were a 41-14 winner over Community last year. That was the only region win, but it's kind of like we've been saying, kind of the theme of the show is they just need 1 or 2 more wins, and they're right there in the mix.
That's it.
But they've got Prince back, offensive lineman, Sermones. How would you say that?
Sermones.
You guys know I struggle with names, so just forgive me. Fisher back at running back senior, so he's got some kids back. Moving down Community, Chris Groomsley, that's my alma mater. Of course, they didn't have football back in '85 when I graduated because we probably would have won a state title back then. But they have yet to play in a postseason game, Lee. I think they may have had a bowl game one year, but I don't think they've made the playoffs a single time. 1-9 last year, 0-5. If anything, they probably declined from the year before. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take to win games at Community. I think Chris Grooms really puts a lot of work into it. But like Johnny Frost prior to him, it's just not translating to wins on the field.
Right. And you know what Coach Frost has done elsewhere.
Yeah, Riverside semifinals last year. So obviously the guy knows how to coach.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it could be a talent thing, could be a numbers game. Different sports pulling players. There's a lot of things that go into that.
Well, that school and that program is still in the infant stages. I mean, I say infant stages. They've probably been 14 years maybe they've had a program, and that doesn't typically take that long to at least make a postseason game. So hopefully at some point in time, my Doolittle Vikings, as we like to call them in this area, Community Vikings, I hope they do enter postseason play. Region 6, Lee, Waverly, our buddy Randall Bolden won the title there at Whitwell.
Yes, sir, Whitwell.
And then come over last year, took over the Waverly program. I think that's his alma mater, is it not?
Yes, sir.
I think he graduated from there. So he had his Tigers found up 7-5, 5-0 in region play. What's your thoughts on the Tigers this year?
They'll be in the hunt for the 1 or 2 spot in the Region 6. Aiden Brooks, quarterback. They got another Stanfield down there, Brady Stanfield, and then Jacob Ballard, who's a sophomore coming in at quarterback. Ryan Edwards. I mean, he's got talent coming in, and we know Coach Bolden knows how to coach. He was 5-0 last year in the region.
Yep.
He had a lot of injuries last year.
He did. I remember him telling us that.
He had a lot of injuries. So I think if they can keep the injuries bug away, Coach Bolden will be in the hunt.
Yeah, Brady Cagle, I think you mentioned him, big guard, expected to have a big year for those guys. Houston County is a team that I'm anxious to see how they do. 9-2, 4-1 last year. They did beat Riverside by 17. That happened to be Riverside's homecoming game. So they were very competitive last year. I think their only loss was to Waverly by 7. And, of course, they had that 1-point loss to Eagleville in the first round. But I spoke with Coach Meadow earlier in the spring, and he's very high on this Fighting Irish squad. of course, led by his son Andrew. I think they're going to be very competitive this year.
I think so too. How many times have we seen a head coach's son that's a quarterback?
A lot.
You know, that takes a team a little further maybe than there should go.
Probably should go.
I'm not saying that's the case right here because I don't want to take anything away from all the other kids at Houston County, but you see that quite often because they're getting coached 24/7.
And they're out there on the football field when they're 5 years old, throwing the ball around at practices.
Well, our good buddy Chad Watson over at Gallatin, he's got a little tyke that can barely walk, and he's on the field already. You know, so they grow up around it.
Right.
So, you know, I expect a lot out of Houston County, to be honest with you, this year, Mike.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really solid.
I do, too. I think they will. But I think, you know, much like last year, I think this is a three-headed monster in this region because I think Johnny Frost's Riverside team is going to be really good again. Alex Tolley, the linebacker, senior linebacker, I think he's going to be one of the more instrumental.
He's a ball player.
He's a ball player. He's going to lead that defense. Luke Lewis is an offensive lineman that goes both ways. Grayson Townsend, a big guard. Weston Ward, wide receiver, QB, DBA, a little bit of everything. I guess you'd probably call him an athlete. Exactly. I mean, so he's got kids that made a semifinal run last year back, and that experience is invaluable.
You know, I picked against them all through the playoffs too.
I did too, Lee.
And man, Coach Frost just
he burned us, didn't he?
Killed us. But you know, that's good.
That's good. So I like them. I think that's going to be, you know, any one of those three teams could potentially win this region this year.
Well, what got me was they lost 3 of their 4 final regular season games.
Yeah.
And then they just hit the playoffs and went on a tear, so I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah,
you know, I was thinking, well, they're kind of falling off, you know.
That's true. Yeah. They did hit their stride at the right time.
Yes, sir.
Hickman County Lee 5-6 last year, 2-3. They lost to Forest in the first round. New head coach R.E. McDonald there. He was a middle school head coach and defensive coordinator for the high school. He takes over for Michael Harrison, who's out now. They were a playoff team last year, Lee, and I think they got the best shot at being the fourth team again this year. Will be my guess. C.J. Lecture back, offensive lineman. I got him listed twice, Lee.
Must be pretty
I must
good.
have been really impressed with him.
Right. Declan Copley.
Yeah. So he's got some kids back. He may wind up, like I say, I think he will take that 4th spot. Scotts Hill, 4-6, 1-4 last year. The Lions. That's Renard Woodmore in his first season there, 4-6. If you remember, Lee, he was a defensive coordinator at Adamsville. So he comes from a tradition-rich program. I think given a little time, he may have the Lions playing good football. So they could potentially ease into that 4th spot over Hickman County this year. I think they only lost to Hickman County by 1 point last year.
That's right.
So I think those two teams will battle for that 4th spot is what I expect. Andrew Daniel, cornerback, Alex Moore, Caleb Montgomery, Cole Powers, some of the kids coming back for that Lions squad. East Hickman Lee drug up the bottom of this one, 0-5 in region, 2-8 overall. I don't think there's any room for them to move up this year.
I don't either, and 4 of their 5 region games are on the road.
That's tough.
That is tough.
Tough. Yeah, that'll be a tough hill to climb.
It will. It'll be tough.
But you see how Scotts Hill, tough hill to climb. Come on, man. That was pretty good.
I'm off my game, man. That's pretty good.
All right, Lee, well, that's regions 5 and 6. We'll put that screenshot up for you, show you our predictions and our projections for region 5 and 6, and we'll be back after this. All right, Lee, that was regions 5 and 6. We're going to roll right into region 7. Region 7 was dominated by Peabody. Very strong region 7, Lee, probably the best region in the state. Our buddy Shane Jacobs, probably, if there's any coach in the state that I would want my kid playing under, it's Coach Shane Jacobs. I think he's a class act, does a phenomenal job there.
Absolutely. Really, man, Mike, I don't see a whole lot of let up. I know they lost Cooper Bogus, Hallbrook, Dixon, and Hammonds. Players that were just solid for them for years.
Yeah.
Not just last year, but for years.
Right.
But he's got Khalid Ganaway and Draquan Vaughn coming back, man, and those are, I think, going to be a 1-2 punch in the backfield. Going to be very hard to handle. I like Coach Jacobs to continue to do what he does. And as you said, and we're not lying when I say this or you say this. If I had a kid that was in that area and it was my son, he would be playing for Shane Jacobs.
Yeah, I like everything he does. I like he does a great job with kids, but he's also a good game day coach.
Yes.
As evidenced by the halftime adjustments he and his staff made when they were trailing Megs. In that title game, came back and shut them out in the second half. So, my hat's off to them. Of course, they won their region games last, and again, a very tough region league by an average of 43 points. There was only 2 teams that scored double digits on them all year. That was Milan and Union City. I think each of those scored 14 points. So, not only did he have a very potent offense, that defense was lights out last year.
I think they're going to be fine.
I think they're going to be fine as well, Lee. And looking down, the second-place team last year was Union City. Our buddy Darren Bowling, he moves on. I think he's coaching out of state now. Nick Markle takes over. Lee, he's head coach at Munsford. I think he's got some previous experience on the staff.
He did. I think he was on the staff in 2009 at Union City in a championship run they had there, so he's very familiar. One thing we talked about, too, Union City is so tradition-rich.
Yep.
They're going to help this guy get established. The community, it will help him every way they can. And I think they're going to be fine. West Tillman, coming back as a DB, he's a senior. They got Westbrook as a running back, and then a big preseason All-State offensive lineman and Neil Brown.
Yeah, so I think they'll be fine. Union City, like you said, a lot of tradition there. That 1-point win over Adamsville last year propelled them into that second place spot. I think there's 3 teams that finished 3-2 in this region, and by way of beating Adamsville, and they lost to Gibson County, which we'll talk about in a minute, missed the playoffs. So they won the right games.
Right.
They won the correct games they had to win, and did take that second spot. But I think one of the teams this year to watch out for, Lee Teat, is McKenzie. I got them as a sleeper. I like Wade Comer. I think he's done a really good job there with the Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
What you like about this team, Server, quarterback, is a senior. Bo Daniels is a junior, but you look at the rest of the key kids coming back. Lee Martin, senior. Latimer, wide receiver DB, he's a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Barnett, defensive lineman, senior. Jordan Woods, senior. What's the common denominator here? Seniors. I think very veteran squad here. I like the Rebels a lot to make some noise here in Class 2A this year.
I agree. 2 of their losses were to Peabody.
Yeah, exactly, too. So
2 of them.
Yeah.
And Huntington.
Right.
We know what they're made of.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you, like you said, I think you're exactly right, Mike. I was looking down through this 2A stuff, reviewing, and McKenzie is a team you better not sleep on. You better not sleep on them because I think they're going to make some noise.
And another team, Lee, I think you can't sleep on, and for the exact same reasons. They're very well coached, and, of course, we're talking about the Adamsville Cardinals, right. Brandon Gray. I visited that field earlier in the spring when I did my little West Tennessee tour. Really nice facilities over there. I like that. I also went to Peabody, matter of fact, went to Gibson County. But anyway, I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. What we liked about McKenzie, the Cardinals of Adamsville have the same elements, and it's a lot of seniors. You got Latham Morris, a senior quarterback, just like McKenzie, a senior quarterback returning. Tucker Johnson, Sanders at wide receiver is going to be tough. Carter McLemore, now he's a junior, Lee, but a very talented wide receiver. Ray Bright, Jacob Bulls, and, of course, Logan Spencer. All these guys are seniors, and a lot of them are linemen, which you got to love that.
That's right, man.
You got a senior quarterback and senior lineman. That's a good
correct.
mix.
That's correct. And you know what? Coach Gray, a lot of people don't remember, man, but he was 0-5 last year, started the season.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I did.
Reeled off, 4 or 5 in a row there before losing to McKenzie in the week 11. So they definitely seemed like they were riding the ship, you know, at the right time. So hopefully they continue it.
Yeah, they may wind up slipping up into those top 2 spots. This region here is very balanced, man. Then you got Gibson County down there, Lee, finished 6-4 and missed the playoffs with a 6-4 record. Now they did have a heavy senior graduation.
Yes.
Ethan Ward is back as a senior. They got J.C. Phillips, Damon Overstreet, fullback. They got some kids back leaving. I think Cody Finley's team. I don't believe they're going to have enough back to get ahead of these other 4 teams.
Not without a graduation they had.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. And they did beat Union City by 29 points last year, so it wasn't like they didn't have some peaks in the valleys.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think there's any room for those guys to advance. And moving on down to Halls, Jason Curtis 4-6 in his first year there at Halls. I don't think the Tigers, Lee, are going to have the weapons to overtake any of the 4 front runners as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, Region 7 is just tough.
Murderer's Row, isn't
it's
it?
tough. You got to play football every night.
Yeah, you do. You're exactly right. Definitely the toughest region in the state, in my opinion, in Class 2A.
Correct.
All right, Lee, let's move on into Region 8 quickly. And Region 8, you can start and finish with the number 1 team. And, of course, that's Fairleigh, the Bulldogs. Won all their region games by an average of 33 points. Now they are under new management. Gene Robertson is out. Of course, we love him. He was a prodigy under Coach Rodney Salisbury.
Correct.
There at Whitehaven. So a very good coach in his own right. But Fred Copeland's not a bad replacement.
No, and he's walking into they just got tons of talent, man. Cody Jones, he's number 4 rated junior in the state, according to 24/7. And, Coach Copeland's just walking into a good situation.
Taylor Hodge, the defensive tackle, Cameron Spencer, running back. He's definitely got some talent there. The cupboard is not bare, no doubt. Mitchell Lee, the Mitchell Tigers, typically Nathan Cole's got a good squad over there. He's been there for 18 years. He's won 141 games there, so they're perennial good, powerhouse football team. 8-3 last year. They finished 7-1 in region play. Yep. Colin Hullum. How you gonna say that? Hullum. Sorry about that. I struggle with some of these names, Lee. Hadim Sal and then Emmanuel Hassel are three of the players expected to be leaders on this Tiger team this year. I think they probably retain that number 2 spot. What's your thoughts?
I think so too. They won all the region games last year by double digits, except Fairleigh.
Right.
And they took one on chin against them. But I can't see any. Really, top to bottom, this region, there might be very little shakeup versus what there was last year.
I agree. I think, one possibility.
Potentially.
MAHS, they were within 6 points, I think, of Douglas last year. So you might could see MAHS moving up to the 3rd spot out of the 4th spot. Cedric Miller's squad, 6-5 last year. Lee, Darren Douglas, Jamel Bowen, Cameron Miller, Charles Perkins, some of the names that are leading that line squad. And then Douglas has got Eric Davis. They've got some talent. Eric Davis at running back, the junior. Jacaron Scales, wide receiver, Ricky Smith. So those 2 teams have got a lot of talent. That's what I'm getting at.
That's right, Brittman.
And you kind of alluded to that earlier. The Memphis area is always talent rich, and you're going to see a lot of talent on all these teams.
That's exactly right. Probably county for county, Shelby County's, I'd say, probably the top.
Yeah, I would too. I would agree with you, Lee. Moving on down in this region, Hillcrest, Carl Coleman's squad with Zach Sanders and how you say that, Lee? Crisen? Come on, man, help me out. You're the name pronouncer here. Jenkins?
Oh, yeah, Crizion Jenkins.
Crizion, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
This is a couple of kids that had
Crizion
listened.
Jenkins.
And we don't have access, I may already mention this, but we don't have access to Donovan Stewart's capsules for 2A. He hadn't released them yet, so we're kind of shooting from the hip with this stuff as far as pulling the huddle video up and whatnot. That's how we're coming up with these returning players. Trez Vant Lee, the Bears, 3-7, 3-5 last year. Another team I don't really don't think there's any room for upward movement here. Tommy Perry, one of the kids back, Bradford, another line. Both these are linemen. Their linebacker group may be a strength there. They got Byers back as a junior, very good linebacker, but I don't think Tresvant's going to have any room to move up in this region.
They don't. It's just so top heavy, and it's huge. This region, it's just huge.
Yeah, 9 teams. It's really too many teams in a region. Kip finished in behind them. The Phoenix 2-8, 2-6. McMorris at DB. Hardwick, another DB, and then they've highlighted some linemen led by Scotty Rowdy. He's one of the bigger linemen there, the junior. Manassas, Lee Teat, Coach Starnes, 2-8 in his first year there. Again, another team I don't think is a lot of room for them to improve upon that 2-8. And then Hamilton rounds out this regionally. The Wildcats 0-10. Keyshawn Foster is back. But, again, 0-10, Antoine Moore in his first year there.
Hamilton was a 5A school 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, it may have been a little bit more than 4 years ago. I think that's an old note I have.
Yeah, but
it hadn't been that long. And that's
because I remember them when they were like a powerhouse basketball.
Well, I mean, Mitchell was a bigger school.
Unbelievable.
Hillcrest was a lot of these schools. Tresvant was 4A when it was in the state title game 4 years ago. This 4A,
crazy,
and then it
man.
came back to 2A. So a lot of these bigger schools seems to be breaking up, and then you got the Bluff cities. You got a lot of new schools opening up.
Yeah, academies, a lot of.
Yeah. That's crazy, and that's why we got a situation where they got a 6A region with only 4 teams in it over there.
That's right.
So yeah, they're definitely trending toward the smaller schools in the Shelby County area. All right, Lee Teat, that's going to be our rundown of Region 7 and 8. We'll put that up on the screen for you guys, and then we'll come back for our closing comments on Class 2A. All right, Lee, that was Region 7 and 8. That's going to conclude our Class 2A program. So I guess in conclusion, Lee, we like Trousdale County in the east. I think we're probably going to see them coming out of the east. West side of the bracket is a little more wide open. You got several teams. You got Peabody. We like McKenzie. We like Chapel Hill. We like
Fairleigh.
Fairleigh. We like Riverside. I don't know. I think. And going back to the east, I mean, you've got some good teams up there too. Meigs may ease back in there. Don't count Coach Fitzgerald out. Watertown's going to be there. So I think more so than when we had a South Pittsburgh, and that's kind of the team we really look at. I think Class 2A is a lot more open this year.
I do too, but like you said, I think out of the east, you got 3 or 4 teams that are going to make a push. The west is. Take Peabody out of the picture.
Right.
Who you looking at? I mean, it's wide open.
Yeah. I mean, I like Adamsville. I like McKenzie. I like Fairleigh.
I mean, we think Peabody's going to make a push every year.
Absolutely.
But if you remove them, you don't even take them in the picture. Who you picking? I mean, it is wide open.
Don't make me do that.
That's what I'm saying. It's wide open.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be fun, though. I'm so happy, Lee, with the news we got today.
Oh man,
we're gonna
play
apparently
some football.
Yeah, we're gonna apparently get to start popping pads a little bit later this week.
We can let some snot fly now.
Yeah,
get some slobber going.
There you go. That's right. But we're happy with the governor's decision this week to do that. Well, Lee, again, we want to thank. Coach T, Jim Thompson,
yes.
CoachT.com. Appreciate everything he does for us. We want to thank Marcia Howard for all of our hats, our shirts, our banners. Elaborate Images is the website. I've got a link to that on our FridayMainEvent.com website. So be sure and check that out. You can check us out on Facebook. Also, search up Friday Main Event. And, again, we appreciate all you guys watching the show and joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow night with 3A, right, Lee
Yes,
Teat?
sir.
So I'm Mike Molder. He is Lee Teat. This has been the Friday Main Event, Class 2A Region Previews. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.